Name's Gremmy, just the guy who plays video games. And we're looking at the differences between Switch 1 and Switch 2, or Scarlet and Violet. Yeah, I made some footage for it, and I already noticed some, like, several differences. Here we go. Like, just look at this. Like, as we go over the footage here, I can show you. Like, already here at the start, you can see how things on Switch 2 is more smoothen out, right? Like, even the text, the font, smoothen out. Where on the Switch 1, you can kind of still tell, you know, the small tidbits. Like, it's kind of clear that it's grainy. You can see the pixels almost, right? But it's smoothened out on the Switch 2. I think it's pretty clear. And you can also just see a noticeable FPS difference. Like, just on the non-pre-rendered footage that we have. I tried to combine it here. And I don't know if you can tell how when it zooms out, it's just, you know, it's just a lot more smooth. When you walk around, it's a lot more smooth. Like, but yeah, it's just the edges of everything have been smoothened out as well. So nothing looks, I don't know, it just doesn't look odd, you know? I kind of like that it's smoothened out. It looks more clean that way. So, see here, you talk to mom. And you can just clearly see just by the back of your character's heads, like one is more smoothened out, and you can see how it kind of flickers to the right there whenever the camera moves. But on the Switch 2 one, it doesn't really do that. You see? What do we clearly notice here? There's no flickers. It's nothing like that. If you look at the TV at the back, you can just see how, like, when you move, the edges are kind of like they have like little squares on them, right? But on the Switch 2, it wasn't noticeable at all. Same as here, you can clearly see when it zooms down, you see like little flickers. Touch the head, see a little flickers. Look at the mailbox. Just look at that mailbox. Just look at the mailbox. Look at that. You see the difference. You see little squares on the mailbox there. Like, just small stuff like that. It's not something that I really needed. Like, the FPS issue was like the main thing that like, oh, I can really feel that it's dragging on my game here. But small stuff like that, when I see it side by side, I really notice it. Like, it's really clear now how noticeable it is. And that's just smaller things. Like, I think later you even notice how some of the like shadows are like there and how they're not, you know. So let's take a look at that as well. It just looks more clear. Like, almost there's like a bloom on the Switch 2, you know, a bloom effect. I don't know if you ever like had that, like a clear bloom effect. Okay, so just by looking here, you see how the movement is also just more smooth, right? Everything just looks more smooth. Less grainy. I mean, of course, they still have the same textures as they did on the Switch 1, right? You can't really update those. But supposedly you can do something about the you know, how those textures look post processing, like as the game actually just does it. See? It's a lot more smooth, right? You can see it on her hair. Her hair is a lot more smooth now. The movement is just, you know, a lot more smooth, you know, as they move. Yeah. You see there was a little bit of a, like, sometimes in the non pre-rendered stuff, sometimes it lags out a bit. That's why it's suddenly delayed. You see that? It's delayed a bit. You see that? Started at the same time. Yeah. And again, you can clearly see on the text how it's like a lot different here. Like, the font is, it's like it's part of the post-processing now. Whenever it does it. Yep. but it looks good. Okay, so now for the capturing Pokemon part. Like, we see the same amount of Pokemon here. You see that? So this is pre-done. There's nothing here that you can like clearly notice. At least it's hard to notice if there is some differences here. But again, you see the edges here are smoothing out. Like, smooth edges. That's all I can say. Like, it really makes or breaks the game here. Like, in terms of like how it looks. Just look at it. Look at the backpack. You see that? The backpack was like, kind of see that, like a little bit of a grain, squares, right? And I remember the biggest offense was like seeing NPCs in like 5 FPS, you know, when they're like in the background. It's not really noticeable here. You don't really notice it here, like, but you can see how grass again, like they have like little small dots, right? Little small dots behind Lechonk. But on Switch 2, there's none of that. There's none of that. It's gone. It's just not there. So even when you're out in the open, I mean, I didn't really notice a big difference here in terms of like how many Pokemon are you able to see at the same time. But I have seen other footage of how many Pokemon can actually be there at the same time. Like on the Switch 2, it's way more without any FPS issues. But on the Switch 1, it's kind of bad. So again, it just looks smooth. It really does. And it's actually been really enjoyable just to replay that like this. Like I played Violet when it first came out. Once Violet was out, I was like, okay, well, obviously there's noticeable issues here. Not much we can do about it. We just try to enjoy the game as it is. And yeah, I really tried. And I still think it was a good game. I just didn't want to replay it, even though I had Scarlet as well. So now I have a good excuse to actually go back and play the game. Again, here you can see how smooth like the movement is. You see how on the right side how on the Switch 1 the shadow just faded in. Like small stuff like that you notice. At least I do. And again, you can see how Switch 1 here, it doesn't really hold up, like in terms of like loading. It's a bit behind. It's a bit chucky. Let's see here. Is there anything noticeable? Okay, he stands up. Like the background looks the same pretty much. But here, I don't know, I think there's like noticeable shadow shaders differences here. Like there is some. So there's something to consider. I think it's pretty clear. The game is better, and this is probably what they wanted it to be. Like they already stated that they wanted Switch 2 to be what Switch 1 was. They were just behind. You know, everything fell apart once the Wii U was a flop, because then they had to rush out like a mini version of what the Switch 2 is, which is basically what Switch 1 is. That's why we were like behind generations, right? Now we're up. We're back. Yeah. Go play Pokemon. If you didn't play before, now you have a good excuse to do so. If you can find it on sale, even better. Just go play it. Now it's actually it's probably a good experience. So yeah.